The Times Building has been in Times Square for almost a century, mostly in a neo-Gothic building on West 43rd Street. In the year 2000, the New York Times announced their plan to build a new center for the New York Times. They wanted to provide a modern, humane, technologically advanced, and environmentally safe building. It would be built for the people, not the press, and would add an iconic building to the New York skyline. The New York Times had a competition among architects for the best design. The committee reviewed dozens of submissions and went to visit 8 semifinalists in America and Europe. 5 exhaustive months later, Renzo Piano was chosen. It was Piano's first building in New York City.
Piano is an Italian-born and internationally renowned architect. He was the winner of the 1998 Pritzker Prize for Architecture. Piano put his first imprint on New York City's legendary skyline with the New York Times headquarters building.
November 19, 2007 was the grand opening of the New York Times building. The building occupies approximately 1.6 million square feet. The newsroom occupies the bottom half of the building, plus a base that extends east. Various offices occupy the top half of the building, of which 93% are successfully rented. It is a composition of glass and steel clad in a veil of ceramic rods. This series of ceramic rods surrounds the 4 facades of the building. They go up and beyond the structure. This controls the level of sunlight inside the building to create privacy from the inside looking out and give uniformity to the exterior facades. It also affects the light so that the color of the building changes throughout the day. Since the rods have uniformity, the building looks a little dull in the daylight. This is added to by the horizontal slots along the sides that give it a regimental feel. The secondary level of the structure shows through on the corners of the building. This enables the viewer to see the feature that holds the glass together and the cross braces that give the building lateral support. These braces also show the tension, allowing the viewer to feel how the building is truly being held up. In addition, the floor-to-ceiling glass makes the front lobby open to the street viewer, and there is a ground-level garden of moss and birch trees that is open to the sky.
The New York Times Company describes the building as such. People entering the building from 8th Avenue can glance past rows of elevator banks all the way to the fairy-tale auditory atrium garden and beyond, to the plush red interior of the Times Center Auditorium. From the auditorium, you gaze back through the trees to the majestic lobby space. In effect, the lobby itself is a continuous public performance. Piano's goal is to blur the boundary between the inside and the outside, between the life of this newspaper and the life of the street. The lobby is encased entirely in glass, and its transparency plays delightfully against the muscular steel beams and spandrels that support the soaring tower. The most exhilarating feature of the building is the way it meets the ground. The street level is transparent and open as possible. There are 3 different points of entry on 8th Avenue, 40th Street, and 41st Street. There is a constant flow of people and movement through the lobby and a connection between the street life and the inner workings of the paper. The elevator banks are cleverly designed. The writer puts in where she wants to go first and then is told which elevator to go in. After that, she is transported 1,600 feet a minute. This speeds up the ride for many busy business people. The newsroom is double height and connects the 3rd and 4th floors so that you can peer down into the main nerve center of the newsroom from above. There are a series of internal stairs that connect these levels. In that way, you can flow from one to another instead of stepping into a closeted elevator. The top of the New York Times building has a unique shaft, of which Times writer Nick Bilton chose to research. The following is a clip of his experience.
How you doing? I'm Nick Bilton. I'm here on street level at the New York Times new headquarters. We're about to climb up to the 52nd floor up there, and we're going to go up to the mast at the top of the building and find out what it's there for and what it does. Your shoulders. All right. So how big is this mast and what does it do?
All right. Well, the mast is about 300 feet above the roof. Really, first and foremost, the mast is the finishing touch to the building, tapering all the way up to approximately about a 6-inch diameter hole at the top. All right. So
climbing down is easier. Wow, 1,000 feet up.
Be 1,046 if we're at the top of the mast where the light is.
So there's actually a light bulb up there?
There is.
What does it do and how do you change it?
Well, the light bulb is there to protect aircraft. To change that light bulb, you climb up these little footsteps on the outside of the mast and change the bulb from the outside.
So can we go up now and do it?
Sorry, no, we're not going to be able to do that.
So what are these things right here?
All right, that's a radiometer. And a radiometer measures the power of the sun. So if it's a cloudy day and the sun's coming up in the east and you're sitting on the eastern side of the building, there's no reason to have the shades down because the sun isn't there.
So if I put my hand over here, will the shades will go up?
Sort of.
This is Nick Bilton for the New York Times, 1,000 feet up from street level.
Now that we have a concrete idea of the structural system of the building as well as its aesthetic purpose and environmental innovations, we will take a look at how the New York Times building made its way into the New York Times paper.
Where's Renzo's?
At about 11:40 a.m. today, a man began ascending the New York Times building. The 52-story Times building is sheathed with ceramic rods meant to dissipate heat, but today they doubled as climbing holds. The climber, Alain Robert, claims to have climbed 70 buildings around the world. He hung a banner on the 9th floor reading, "Global warming kills more people than 9/11 every week." Spectators gathered at windows of the Times building, on the sidewalk in front of the building, and from a construction site across 41st Street.
He's coming back out now. Now he's coming out. See him? There you go.
Mr. Robert climbed 52 floors and reached the roof, where he was arrested.
So, if you are ever thinking of scaling the New York Times building, please be aware that it is in fact illegal. Thank you for joining us on our journey through the New York Times building. Goodbye!